Hey guys. So, after the supposed little bit of a downer from the last video, I actually think I was gonna talk a bit about some, I'm gonna plant these right here. I was gonna talk a little more positively, right? Talk about some really fun stories in my childhood. Because I think that everybody should have some awesome stories from their childhood, and relating them to one another is a really good idea, right? So, that's what I'm gonna do. So, back when I was a kid, right? And this was about, how far back do I want to go? Because there's a lot of stories in my childhood because I made it a point, really. And this is kind of how I was raised, but I made it a point to ritualize everything. And by ritualize, I don't necessarily mean like it. I don't exactly mean that in a very like superstitious kind of way. I kind of mean it in the sense that like everything was very clear to me. Everything was very vibrant and filled with its own personality. I just saw the world like that, right? For example, I used to live in this town in California called Corona, right? And my grandparents, my mom's parents, would live in Murrieta, which is about 45, 50 minutes away. And about twice or three times a month, typically after Sunday Mass, we would drive all the way out from our house to go visit them. And it was a really, really fun time because they had a nice house. The house itself is actually still in the family. It currently belongs to my mother's sister. But, yeah, we would do that a lot. And so that's how I basically knew that side of the family, was those almost weekly brunches at one point after Sunday, that we would just take that drive out there because the drive was still well worth it at the time. And it was a lot of fun. And there were these two bridges, right? Hang on, I'm gonna grab this other chicken nugget. My sister gave me her leftovers from Chick-fil-A, so I'm gonna eat them. So on the freeway, there's these two bridges, right? And they're not like special bridges or anything, like not by a long shot. But I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go out here and hunt for some food. Those bridges were very funny because you would just drive on regular road and you have the standard like freeway ambience, right? But then when you hit those bridges, they go right, and you'd hit the bridge, like bridge number 1, and you go burp, and then you hit it again and it's like burp. And it was just really interesting to us as children that stuff made sounds like that, right? Oh, cows, excellent. And so that's the kind of kid I was, ritualizing everything, dude. It was, I wouldn't say it was a problem, not at all actually, because I very much enjoyed it. Oh my gosh, come here, you stupid rabbit. Come here. I want to eat you. There we go. Okay, so it was that kind of childhood, right? And I was very much appreciative of it at the time because it was oodles of fun, right? Like everything had a way to be very much ritualized and made into something that meant more than it probably deserved to be, but it was still a lot of fun. That is weird. That is a weird chunk orientation. Can I feed you? Oh, excellent. Can I feed you again? I can't. But now he trusts me a bit, so that's good. So, ritualizing everything, to that minor degree, is something that I very much, excuse me. It's something that I very much encourage other people to do a lot. Because if you don't have rituals made out of everything, and sorry that I'm sidestepping here, but it's because I'm holding food in my right hand. If you don't make a ritual out of everything, admittedly, your life is pretty boring, right? So, What exactly do you do? Well, you find these things in life that give you a sense of real, like, pleasure, right? And you take that and you analyze it and you think about it and you're like, yeah, that's cool. And you make that cool thing stick in your mind, right? So, I'll give you an example. In my life, there is a sort of ritual where in certain seasons we will watch certain movies. And people are like, oh, but that's something people do anyways. And I'm like, yeah, that's the thing. Is that people ritualize stuff like that. And it's a very, very, it's a very good thing to do because it gives their human personality some real definition and some real character, right? And are those the trees that I planted? I think those are. That's really nice. It gives that human element of everything has some intrinsic meaning behind it, and everything to some degree means something. And it's a very, very powerful and a very, very special thing. And I am not one to underrate such things at all. Because I have lived a life full of it. There we go. Actually, you know what? Here, I'm probably going to put them like that. I'll probably actually destroy these and have a ladder leading up to the second floor, at least for the time being. Excuse me. So you got stuff like that, right? And you've also got stuff where, in a sense, ritualizing something means to make something of yours very personal, right? For example, I love Lightning McQueen. I love Lightning McQueen. I am the biggest Lightning McQueen fanboy to the point where my girlfriend bought me a sweater, a like Lightning McQueen jacket, and I was like 5 years old again. I had these little RC cars, these little Lightning McQueen RC cars. It was a Lightning Dragon McQueen from the Mater's Tall Tales, Tokyo Mater. The McQueen in that one is really, really good. And she gave me this RC car of McQueen that I hadn't had since I was probably a boy, right? I'm just gonna make everything stairs. Yeah. Oh, where's the rest of the raw food? Do I have any more raw food? I do, but it's still in here. I'm gonna eat some rabbit. So, I was very much a Lightning McQueen fanboy. Still am, obviously, right? And it's a lot of that ritualizing about Lightning McQueen that makes him such an awesome character to me, right? Did I put the dirt back in the chest by mistake? I did. I am so silly. I am sorry. I am a little distracted. The fascination about Lightning McQueen really is that at the time, I was very much into NASCAR, and I loved watching Jimmy Johnson race because Jimmy Johnson was like my favorite racer. And we had these Lowe's Build and Grow sets, and of course Jimmy Johnson was sponsored by Lowe's, and so we would have these times where Lowe's would like host these building things for children. And oh my gosh, I just messed up again. I swear I am putting my little younger woodworking self to shame here. And we would build these things out of wood, or you know, these little pieces of plywood with like little 4-ounce hammers that weren't really like that crazy, but it was really, really significant to us as children that we had that, because it gave us a very tangible sense of how how stuff worked, and like, oh, this is what it means to actually like build something, right? And there's stuff like that. Human sentiment these days is often regarded as overrated, and I very much disagree with that idea because it's such an important aspect of human life. I mean, to be able to say that like you were how would you put it? You were very much into this one particular thing as a kid, and when you get that thing back, like later in life, all these memories come flooding back to you, and it just fills you with so much joy. I mean, recently I pulled out all of my old Lowe's Build and Grow toys because I kept them, all of them, every single one. I kept all of them in a box, and I stored it in my garage. And I pulled that box out recently because I haven't looked at it in like years and years and years. And I found the very first Build and Grow set I ever made. It was a red fire truck, right? And to this day, it's the only colored Build and Grow set that I ever made that had any, well, like I said, that had any color. Because everything else was decorated with stickers. And that one had stickers too, but it was like such a tremendous thing to have at the time because I was like, I built that. And I was super proud of myself for building that. And it had this button on top of it that would trigger these, what were supposed to be these siren sounds, right? And it was a very good siren at the time. And I honestly didn't expect it to work at all when I pressed it again after so long, because not even the Jimmy Johnson car that we built, because yes, those were awesome as well. Not even the Jimmy Johnson car that we built, that motor sound didn't work anymore. But the fire engine did, and it was old, it was decrepit, it was honestly, if I wasn't crying from the amount of sentiment that I had towards that object, I would have considered that noise to be something terrifying. Because, admittedly, it was a very scary sound, because it's this old speaker sound, and it's not supposed to sound that way, and it's very, like, otherworldly. It's kind of awkward. But to me, it didn't matter, because that old toy that I had as a kid still worked. And that made me so happy. And people often forget that they need that kind of thing in their lives to look back upon, because the point of having those things, not just for our personal gratification, but so that one day our children can experience very similar things. It is in the nature of humans to pass on that which we hold dear to us, that sentiment that we so long for, that which gives us true joy. And we naturally want to share that joy with others. Because if we don't, then, like, what's the point, right? Great, we had it for ourselves. Now what? And we just, like, hold on to it by ourselves, selfishly, with no one. My apologies, OBS decided to crash. Basically, my point is, it's our human sentiments are worth so much more than just keeping it all to ourselves, right? There is a higher purpose, and that purpose, I believe, is indeed to share it with others, because some people in life didn't get the things that we had. They didn't have, Call of Duty lobbies where they would hang out with friends online or make friends online. They didn't have Halo 3 LAN parties, They didn't have Half-Life or Counter-Strike or Doom. Or in my case, they didn't have stuff like the Wii and all these games that we all had in common that we all played together, right? And some people I know just didn't have those things. And it's something that I feel terribly sad about every day, because those things are a testament of true joy to me. They meant something to me. Those things brought me a lot of happiness in life. And so if there's anything you can do for someone else, it is to provide them with a similar level of joy. Provide them some opportunity to feel, to exist, to really experience the joy. And what better people to do that than the people who are the same age as when we ourselves received those joys. It would be a terrible crime against humanity, really, if we didn't have children to share that experience with. And of course, you share that experience in different ways. I mean, I'm sure any man here would teach his son the value of how hard you have to work for a win by, like, absolutely defeating him in Mario Kart or something, you know, being insanely hyper-competitive. But then they beat you, and it's like, now I can pass the torch on, and, like, well done, son, you're a real man now, or something like that. And it's a very silly sentiment, right? I know. It's a very ridiculous way to phrase it, but there's something to that, you know? And I just realized that I could probably work a lot faster if I made myself a shovel. So I'm going to go down there, and I'm going to go make myself a shovel. Let me make myself a shovel. And I'm going to stick that right there, and we're good to go. Meow. And so that idea that you pass things along like that is really, really important, because ritualizing everything is something we have to teach children how to do, because it enables them to see the world very, very clearly. And if you can allow them to do that, then they can see things that we regular people just can't see. And that is how humans evolve. That is how we pass on our leadership and our responsibilities to the next generation. We are meant to do that because eventually they're going to run the world, whether we like it or not. And if they're going to do that, we might as well give them the opportunity to do it right, you know? And I, for one, would much rather they do it right than do it wrong. And I think a very big, important element of that is to give them the same things that we had and allow them the chance to take it or deny it. And I sure would be very heartbroken if they did deny it, but you have to give them that opportunity. So if there's one thing that I would implore of any of you watching, is that if you are thinking about getting married and you do get married, have as many children as you can, right? I'm not necessarily saying that you need to have a large family, but I am saying that you have to be able to share that experience with as many people as you can, and your children are the prime candidates to do that with. So, with that being said, I hope you all have a very blessed night. I hope you all are doing well, whether it is day or night for you, and I will see you guys in the next video. So, yeah, take care, and bye.